everyone, I'm Noaksey and this is Christopher from the Indie MEGABOOTH.
Yeah.
So I have a few questions with regards to how Indie MEGABOOTH started, where you see yourself in sort of the next 5 to 10 years, a few questions about EGX and your experience to date, and I've got a couple of questions at the end that you don't have to answer, but it's just out of interest really. Sure. Okay, so tell me a bit about where Indie MEGABOOTH started.
It was really organic. I was like, people never believe like that it's as straightforward as it was, but so about 3 years ago, when it used to be really difficult to show your game at conventions, when you weren't EA or Bethesda or had like huge marketing budgets, and if you wanted to show your game and you had like you were just a two-person team, say hypothetically, you would book space at a show, but because you didn't want a huge 7-mile by 7-mile life-size TIE fighter in your booth, you had to take what they had remaining. So you would end up with all these small teams that were kind of pushed into weird corners, and it culminated in PAX Prime in Seattle in 2011. Anyway, there are 2 floors at PAX Prime. There's the 4th floor, which is where the most stuff happens, and the 6th floor, which isn't even like straightforward to get to. You have to go through the 4th. You can't go up on both sides. This whole weird thing. But it ended up with like 12 or 16 developers who were up there for the weekend, and nobody knew they were there. Yeah. This included at the time Notch, who was showing a little game.
A little game.
And no one could believe how crazy, like people were coming up and confused even what it was, didn't even know it was part of the show, and saying like, oh, is this like a t-shirt, so what are you guys doing? And so during the show, the developers who were there said, look, what if we tried pretending that we were a larger team? What if we all just bought a space as if, you know, we did want a life-size TIE fighter, and then just like divided it up, right? So it's like essentially like, I was joking, it's like building a shanty town, right? It's
absolutely,
like, it's like a little collection of things.
Yeah. Or marketplace.
Yeah, that's probably a better way to look at it. But yes, they did that. So they took like, I think it was 16 teams that time, and so Kelly, who I work with, who's technically my boss, I guess, was a producer at a studio at that point, and all the developers who were working on it were busy working on the games, right? They didn't have time to organize it, so she said, look, I'll do the legwork on this and see how it goes. And so 6 of them at PAX East that next year, they did 16 people, put the whole thing together, and it worked out really well, and you know, it kind of became its own little story. People were like, wow, I'm going to go see this spot. And so what's funny is now it's sort of 3 years later, and everyone's like, you know, indie games like exploded, they're super cool. Yeah. It's really easy to show your game at events. Events want you to show your game with them, right? Like it's a totally different attitude. Yeah. And it's a funny thing in games, and it's true of a lot of industries, but people have very short-term memories. Like they don't remember that life wasn't that way. So yeah, so that's kind of it, and it's grown and grown and grown since then. I think it was about 2 years, it's been longer than that, 3 years ago maybe. Kelly quit her job to do it full time, and I thought it was super interesting, so I've been helping her out with it, like in a volunteer capacity. I was working at Activision at the time, and then my contract was up, and I was like, hey, if you're looking for anyone, or if you know anyone who's looking for work, like let them know, because you know that I can do stuff. And she's like, oh, wait, can you work for me? And then that was it, and so it's been, I guess, like 2 years now.
Awesome. And how do you, because you said yourself very briefly about the explosion of indie games.
Yeah.
Did you think that was bound to happen, or do you think it was a combination of games helping it happen? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the answer to all those things is yes. But, sure, but there's a whole concept of, you know, like in economics, like bursts and booms, so like, or the universe, you know, depending on your theories, but things go like this, and then they collapse, and they go like this again, and they go like, so, the most recent indie game Big Bang, you know, was probably sort of 2006, 7 or 8. You know, the Super Meat Boy braid
Yeah, yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And that was suddenly people were like, whoa, what is this thing, right?
Yeah.
There's a really good, if your viewers are interested, there's a really good talk from Indie East by a guy called Bennett Foddy.
Yeah.
Who made Quap. I'm sure you've played the horrible running game. Where he talks about how like this is like it's not a new story, right? It's been going forever. Like, there used to be a company in Sweden called Digital Illusions that made pinball games, and now Digital Illusions are DICE, who make the Battlefield games. You know, small teams have been doing weird little stuff and then turning into bigger teams and then breaking off into smaller. Like it's like a never-ending cycle.
Phoenix thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
just keep re-rising as something different.
Yeah, and I think in an industry like video games where people are pretty creative and smart, and if not creative, they're very intelligent no matter what. Like, eventually they say, stuff it, I'll do my own thing. Like, I know how to do all this. Like, I don't need to be in this team of 400 people to make it happen.
Absolutely.
So they break off and they do their own thing, and then other people go, wait, that's kind of interesting, and then they break off too, and then they form a team, and so.
Well, I think a really good example of that is Titanics with the Rare team, getting together, rebranding, doing it all again.
Yeah.
It's but they're doing it for themselves this time, not for a massive, overbearing team of people. So that's going to be very interesting. I'm looking so forward to to that kind of rebranding and seeing what they're going to do with the new game.
Yeah.
I was helping the Kickstarter, in fact, so that was a real good thing for me, is to be kind of
involved. This is for ukulele?
Yeah, ukulele, absolutely. So that was interesting as well. Where do you see, what's the next big thing for Indie Megabooth? Because obviously this is the first time you've been in the UK. So are you going to come back again? Is this going to be, are you going to actually bring it to the UK and become an entity here as well?
Yeah, well, so the company, the company always feels like a dramatic term. It's two people. It's not, we're not crazy.
The team, yeah.
The team of two.
The team.
Me and one other person. So we have limited resources because we are just two people. And we've done enough shows in America now that we have the rhythm of that down. Like, we know, like, we do things at GDC and E3 and PAX, and every one of those things knows us. They know how we operate. So we can not that they're easy to run, but they are straightforward to run at this point. Relatively. And so we started, last year we did Gamescom in Germany, sort of as like an experiment, where I kind of felt like, if we can do it, we should try to do something with this like gap in the year. We can, take a risk and try something. It's not in America, that again would be a new story, right? Like, because doing another show in America is still going to be cool, but it's like, okay, well,
you're branching out, you're experimenting, exploring.
Like, might as well try different things. So we
Absolutely.
did Gamescom, and then we finished Gamescom last year, and then it came to this year again. It was like, well, do you want to do that? And we did want to do Gamescom again. We thought, well, what if we try something different? And the most logical move was to do something in the UK, and EGX were super keen to have us involved and are excellent people to work with. I've been singing their praises all weekend, but I've never had a team that have such a good, attentive attitude. Like, they care about the people who are here.
Yeah.
Like from attendees through exhibitors, through everything else. Like, they're constantly saying, like, hey, is everything all right? Is anything you need? Like this morning I had someone looking for a Stanley knife. I hope, I assume something peaceful, I don't know, but like, can I get a Stanley knife? It's like, I don't carry a Stanley knife, but let me check for you. And I texted like one of the event organizers. He said, yeah, I'll be there in 5 minutes. And I swung by with a knife. There was the other day, someone needed a hole drilled in their wall. And usually, events like this, there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things going on. And if you say, hey, can we get this very particular, niche treatment? Yeah. Someone says, sure. Can you wait a couple hours?
Yeah.
And they showed up in 10 minutes. The guy just drilled with a crazy thing on it. It was like, where do you want this hole drilled? He's like, right there. And he's like, there you go. Have a good day. So that's really cool. Yeah. So we've been trying new things. This year we did Japan as well for the first time in Bit Summit. Pretty deeply involved with helping them organize that, because Japanese indie scene, as you're saying, is being limited. So it's really like a totally different world.
Yeah.
Very different attitude in terms of doing things on your own isn't perceived as cool in the same way that it is in the West.
I think it's kind of picking up though over there.
It is.
I think that you're going into it at the start of something. And I think that's a very strong place to be, because as it starts to pick up, you'll be already integrated in there.
I mean, that's the ideal thing. I mean, we did Gamescom last year with a similar sort of attitude where we were like, we had, be wrong on this, but I'll just guess, I think it was like 40 games we had at Gamescom. Yeah. We have 30 this year at EGX. And there was a very conscious effort to not make it, you know, the North American invasion of like, you know, oh, we'll bring some indie games for you. It's like lots of focus on having European teams, and with British teams over there and a bunch of Europeans too. Because I think that it's kind of important to nurture what's there.
Yeah.
I mean, with Japan it was interesting. We actually did a very different approach where we had the Bit Summit that we did in Kyoto is an independent thing on its own. So there's no, well, there was like Sony and stuff had things there, but they're only showing small teams.
Yeah.
And so we brought only foreign developers to that. So and then they weren't all Americans. There was some artists from like Malaysia there. And that idea was more that, you know, we were sort of bringing it as delicately as we could, but sort of as a point of, you know, reference and inspiration for the local teams to be like, you can do this, like there's people who do it, and it's, you know.
I suppose it gives a new perspective as well, doesn't it? On
well, trying, in as like sensitive a way as possible, right? Because
absolutely,
it's really bad. Hey, we know what we're doing.
Well, there's a difference between being like confident in what you're doing and then being kind of condescending and arrogant.
Yeah, absolutely, overbearing.
Absolutely, and if you can kind of create a balance where you're doing something different to create inspiration, to create that demand in the industry, but in a way that also doesn't overbear the people you're working alongside, they tend to take it better.
Yeah, it's funny, we have the whole thing where we talk about this all the time, that we can't really work out if there are people who like Indie MEGABOOTH who aren't game developers. And it's in a way because we're so not hungry for attention. Like our goal when we're here is not to be like, look at how cool we are. It's like, look at how cool
the games
are. Like this is, you saw like all the branding is like, you know, for the developers, then there's a little string at the top that just says Indie MEGABOOTH, in the hope that someone will associate that with what's going on.
But it's not just that, it's also to bring people to the booth so they know what those games are. Because obviously if you see that game in the magazine and go, where is that? It's in the MEGABOOTH. Oh, it's over there.
Yeah.
And then when they walk up to it, you've got the big speech bubbles that says, it's here.
Yeah.
So I totally understand and I completely agree that way mythology is the better way to work forward.
Yeah.
So my other questions to you, for an aspiring upcoming indie developer, what would your advice be to them to get themselves like involved and to be a better approach for people like yourselves to get their games known?
So it depends where they are. If you have experience working in the industry before, then great, keep doing your thing. Work hard and work smart. And I had a panel yesterday about this actually. It was grandiosely titled "Making It in America." It was mostly about the idea of if you are a British European developer, why would you go to America to show your game? And I think it's really important to ask themselves that question, because the glitz and glamour of I could go to Seattle or Boston and show my video game to those Americans, and that's so cool, and the press will see me, is great. But you want to make sure that that's the smart. When you do that, it's the smartest time to do it, right?
Yeah.
There's no right answer for when that is. But the other side of it is that if you're someone who is getting started into games and you're making games for the first time, you've been doing it for a year or two or whatever. It sounds really boring, but like really strongly advise people to work to be very careful in terms of don't quit everything, give it all up, like to try and just try and make this thing work, because it's likely that it won't. So you need to be really, really careful with that. And if you don't have experience working in the industry, finding a way to transfer your skills towards that first is really good, because if you can spend a couple of years working at somewhere like Bossa or something in London, right? ship a couple of games, like see how a team operates, learn, like, you know, get into the flow of it. Like I was saying with us having the shows in America, like get to a point where you're like, okay, like there's a pattern to how this thing operates, right?
Yeah.
And then moving out of that and saying, okay, stuff it, I'm gonna do my own thing. At that point, you've got a blueprint where you say, okay, well, I know that, you know, the average team of 20 people can do this in 26 months, so I can probably do this in like 48 months, you know?
Yeah.
Or I work 100-hour weeks, I can turn that into this. So, yeah, being really like being painfully realistic is something that we try to encourage as much as possible. There's plenty of people. No worries. There's plenty of people who will tell you that. Plenty of people that will tell you that, you know, oh, you should just, like, you know, follow your dreams or whatever. And I think that's absolutely true. But like, follow your dreams with the goal of your dreams being a long-term thing and not something that you just want to try and see if that happens, right? I mean, if you really want to make something work, I naively believe that you can.
Yeah.
But I think that the hardest part to learn is patience. It's
Yeah.
like, it probably isn't going to happen in like 2 months, right? Or maybe 12 months, or maybe 24 months, you know? Like a lot of the best developers, and it sucks to, this is true, but like a lot of the best developers have all come out of like big studios. Like they know how, because they did it,
played
right?
the game, they've done it, they've been in a situation, they kind of know the people already, got the connections, and of course they've got the platform.
Yeah, like everything, you know, it's the whole idea of, you know, they get to a stage where, I mean, not that he's an independent developer at this point, but like Sid Meier, there's really thinking about him before, where he's famous in the studio for, I think it's for Axis, for like at weekends, he will like jam on a concept for a game really fast, because he's been doing this for like 40 years, right? So it's like, you know, so for him the idea of sitting down doesn't involve like the whole, well, how do I do this bit, what about this, you know, it's just like, okay, I have an idea of a thing, well, I wonder if that would work if I did this, and coming in on Monday and saying, okay, so the idea we had for the new XCOM, right, what if we did this bit instead, and everyone's like, oh, yeah, perfect, right? And it's like, oh, well, because you've done it enough times that now it's like not crazy, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my advice is always, if you really want to make it work, 3 years is what I always tell people. Like, expect nothing for 3 years, and if you're still there in 3 years, the herd has always thinned. The amount of people who were all doing the same thing as you at that point has gotten noticeably smaller.
Well, yeah, because not only do you have that now in like what we call the CV, that you've got that 3 years of that experience doing that job.
Yeah.
But then also those people that couldn't cope, couldn't hack that 3 years, have gone.
Or who were smart enough to say, you know what, this isn't working out.
Yeah.
I'm going to go take a job working somewhere, right? Because I mean, most people who drop out of that kind of thing don't necessarily drop out of it and join a bank or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
You know, what happens is they jam us up for a couple of years and go, okay, I can't do this. Well, I'll go work at a studio, right? The studio says, cool, you've been in this 2 years, got super hard work ethic, awesome, come on in, like, we can use you. And then they get to do the 3 years and drop out. So hopefully things just keep moving.
Now, the last couple of questions for you, and we'll wrap it up. Has there been any games or development team that haven't been shown on your booth that has piqued your attention at this show so far?
At this show so far? So a really exciting part of running the MEGABOOTH is that I don't get a lot of time to leave it. So, because like I said, as soon as I walk away, people are like, wait, I need a knife. So I have to go back and get a knife. I'm trying to think of things that I've seen when I was breezing through today. There are a couple of people, actually what's been most of my thing is I took a walk through the left field and the Res collection and the Res area. I don't know what it's called.
That was
what the nomenclature is, but what actually ended up happening is I see a lot of people who've been in the MEGABOOTH before, and so that just becomes sort of a catch-up thing of, oh hey, how's it going? What are you doing? What are you working on? I think of a game I saw yesterday. There was one, and it's just like, oh, this is my time, I can't think what it was. It's like an RPG tycoon game that was kind of interesting.
The one on the left-hand side?
Yeah.
In the Res area?
Yeah. That was kind of cool. Yeah, for me it's always a thing where like when I'm at a show like this is similar with Bit Summit, and there's a lot of stuff that's totally unfamiliar because the majority of these teams are British teams or European teams. They're not at a stage yet where they're going to America, or it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You kind of just walk around and take mental notes, like sort of thing of like, oh, that looks kind of interesting, that was cool. Well, you know, I wonder if I see them again, like, I wonder where they'll be, because like, you that, oh, they're currently talking to that person who I already know. So it's like, well, hopefully that's going to turn into something. So
Yeah.
yeah. Usually, I personally tend to be pretty sort of careful about how that kind of stuff goes, because with the way that we choose games for the Mega Booth, it's not a case of one person has the decision. Like we have a small panel of judges, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a general consensus, and then like the things that were the most popular that are feasible and what we go forward with. So there were teams. There was like Indicate last year. I saw Push Me Pull You for the first time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it was just like so cool and so weird, and that was the first time that I broke my like ethical code. It was like, I really think that you should apply for the Mega Booth at some point. But it was mostly because it seemed so good that I was like, there's no way I can see people playing this and not
Enjoyed it.
right.
Yeah.
And and they submitted then in the next round.
I'm pretty confident they were actually at the Left Field Collection res earlier this year.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident
That's
that's
so weird.
It's
such
great.
an odd game. It's got my favorite part of it is the sound design.
Yes.
It's that like horrible stretchy balloon sound that it makes as they like, oh, it's great. But yeah, I wish I could think of something that was here right now, but I can't. My head is just like.
This is why I asked the question, because hopefully now you walk away from this thinking, actually I might make a point of looking.
Well, what's really stupid is that today, it's like the first day was yesterday. That's always setup day before is fine. And the first day is when like everyone realizes that like they needed something they forgot about, right?
Absolutely.
So yesterday was insane, and then today I had it like what is it now, 10:30-ish.
Yeah.
So between 10 and 11 it was a little quieter. And I went and took a stroll through the area. It's like this is a vivid memory that I have from just half an hour ago. But I can't remember anything that actually happened because it was more like just a moment of silence as I was walking over to this room. But it's really cool. I mean, EGX are particularly noteworthy for how hard they push this stuff, and having things like the Left Field Collection, and trying to make it as easy as possible for developers with games that they think are interesting to show their games is incredibly commendable and not common. Try to show your game at Gamescom aren't super like, oh sure, here's a free space, like just show your game, right?
Who knows? Maybe there'll be a trend at some point.
I would love it to be the case. we were when we were organizing the Mega Booth here. So the EGX organizers, we were trying to work out how we would make it make sense, because they do offer free space, right? And we were having to buy our space. And it's like, well, how do we make it, like, how do we tell a developer, like, well, you can show your space with us, it's going to cost money, but you could potentially be free over here. And then they explained that it's very much a case of, like, I think it's only the left field stuff.
It's literally only left
I
field.
thought the rest was as well.
No, the left field one is experimental unknowns.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
it's definitely, having seen it now in person, because I wasn't totally sure how it looked. It's a much more like lo-fi, like it has a kind of like a grungy kind of feel to it in a good way. Like it feels arty. It's like an alleyway.
The one thing about Left Field Collection that might be noteworthy is that Thomas Was Alone was discovered there.
Really?
So that's worth knowing. Okay. But
cool.
I will thank you for your time and wrap this up. So I've been Noaksey, this has been Chris from the Indie Mega Booth. So thank you very much for your time. And obviously pop over to the Indie Mega Booth, check out the games there. I've been Noaksey, until next time. Thank you for watching.
Bye.